You go in really hard about the Grammys. You drag the Grammys in the mud.
I'm just tired of seeing it. I don't think it's a big deal now.
When Eminem took the stage, what should have been a monumental night for the music business became the most startling event of all time. The Grammys have taken heat from musicians who feel unappreciated and ignored for a long time. Even if I feel like a part of me has returned, I still can't accept this honor until it's no longer talked about. My anxiety will subside. Unfortunately, no one was expecting Marshall Mathers' strategy to increase the amount of unprotected sex once the first shock wore off. Not only did Eminem comically cause executives to scramble, but he also caused the broadcast to suddenly experience technical difficulties. All as A-listers like Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and Drake watched in startled silence. What was it that he said that caused everyone to stare in disbelief? We'll have to see. Being a homebody this year, I watched in astonishment as Eminem humorously ruined the Grammys on live TV, leaving the music business in disbelief. However, we need to delve into the extensive history of scandals surrounding the Grammys if we want to comprehend what transpired. Since its inception in 1959, the Recording Academy's Grammy Awards have been celebrated as the highest honor in the music industry, frequently called the biggest night in music. The purpose of the Grammys is to recognize exceptional achievements in a wide range of musical styles and categories, such as Best New Artist and Album of the Year. The ceremony has transformed into a spectacular event that draws in viewers from all around the world and showcases performances by the best in the business over the years. The Grammys have always been controversial, despite its renowned position. Detractors have questioned the show's honesty, openness, and fairness. When Metallica lost out on the first Best Hard Rock Metal Performance Award to Jethro Tull in 1989, it sparked one of the first scandals. Reportedly, even the audience, who were expecting Metallica to win, laughed in surprise at the choice. This episode established a standard for the Grammys' penchant for abrupt and frequently irritating verdicts. This story has been sustained throughout the years by numerous high-profile snubs and genre misclassifications. In 2020, for instance, Tyler, the Creator's genre-blending album Igor won Best Rap Album. However, the artist later attacked the Recording Academy, claiming that racial prejudices had a role in the choice to label his music as rap. Some have also pointed out that women are noticeably absent from the Grammys. Alicia Cara was the lone female winner at the 2018 Grammys, prompting the hashtag #GrammySoMale. Because of this, people started talking about how the Recording Academy had a gender bias problem. The Academy has pledged reforms in response, including a new program to boost female representation, but the matter is still divisive. Some of the most prominent figures in the business have been vocal in their criticism and boycott of the awards. While his 2017 album Blonde was highly praised, Frank Ocean decided not to enter it. By making this choice, Frank was making a statement against the Grammys, which he felt were out of date and failed to properly honor black musicians. Similarly, Nicki Minaj has made no secret of her dissatisfaction with the fact that she has never won a Grammy Award, despite the fact that she has had many singles that have topped the charts. The argument that the Grammys don't always fairly recognize creative achievement is getting louder, and these voices are adding to it. Transparency in the Grammys' voting process has been a major concern. The group has been dogged for years by claims of partiality, prejudice, and secrecy. The 2020 placement of Recording Academy President and CEO Deborah Dugan on administrative leave, following allegations of vote irregularities and conflicts of interest, garnered significant media attention. Just 10 days before the Grammys in January, Deborah was put on administrative leave. According to her, insiders favored particular artists and songs, which resulted in skewed nominations and awards. The public's distrust in the award's validity was further exacerbated by the incident. Cultural relevancy has been an issue for the Grammys as well, especially with younger demographics and current musical trends. The Recording Academy has been slow to acknowledge that the advent of internet streaming has changed the way music is enjoyed and assessed. A large portion of the artistic community feels that the awards too frequently promote safe, conventional choices rather than risky, original ones. Because of this gulf, some prominent members of the business have decided to boycott the event or voice their disapproval on social media. The Grammys continue to be a major stage, and controversy is always a possibility, despite the problems. There have been several unplanned and uncomfortable moments throughout the ceremony's history. Among the most notable was in 2015, when Beck was presented with the Album of the Year award, and Kanye West came dangerously close to storming the stage. Kanye subsequently said that Beck should have given him the award, implying that the Recording Academy had erred, even if he refrained from doing so in the end. The Grammys' acknowledgement and honoring of creativity processes is a source of industry-wide discontent, which Kanye's actions brought to light. However, this event is far from over. For example, there have been concerns about their legitimacy because of certain tendencies in the way they vote. Despite profound impact on contemporary music, Black musicians have received a pitiful number of Album of the Year nominations since the Grammys' establishment. These numbers have sparked debates over the potential impact of systemic biases on the Grammy voting procedure. For example, in 2017, Adele's 25 was named Album of the Year, but Beyoncé's Lemonade, widely considered a cultural and musical masterpiece, lost the title. The decision-making process was further clouded by controversy, as Adele herself expressed astonishment and felt that Beyoncé should have won. Even though I feel that a part of me has reintegrated, I just cannot accept this accolade. Some scandals have revolved around the results, while others have focused on the acts themselves. Although many legendary performances have taken place at the Grammys, not all of them have been flawless. Even though she was quite pregnant, in fact, she gave birth just days before her 2009 Grammy performance, Mia still managed to perform. People started arguing about how far artists went for the performance because of this. On other occasions, unpleasant live moments have resulted from technological glitches or accidents, adding to the Grammys' image as a night when anything may happen. Although snubs and boycotts are certainly part of the event's drama, the artists involved may occasionally find themselves at odds with one another. The tumultuous relationship between the Grammys and Marshall Bruce Mathers II, better known as Eminem, is emblematic of the larger conflict between creative integrity and commercial success. His contradictory persona, embraced by the establishment yet relentlessly critical of it, is reflected in his journey with the Grammys. Despite his early years of glory, the relationship quickly went south, sparking one of the most notorious feuds in Grammy history. When Eminem first appeared at the Grammys, he received a lot of praise. With his 1999 major label debut, the Slim Shady LP, he gained a wider audience for his controversial style, and in 2000, he won 2 Grammys for Best Rap Album and Best Rap Solo Performance for the hit single My Name Is. This recognition showed that the Recording Academy was willing to acknowledge his controversial yet impactful artistry. The Grammys were ready to honor Eminem for his impact on hip-hop, and his dark humor, storytelling, and uninhibited songs continued to captivate his following. After that, in 2000, Eminem released the Marshall Mathers LP, which further cemented his position as a dominant figure in the hip-hop industry. After a successful first week of sales, nearly 1.7 million copies, the album was met with both critical and commercial praise, debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200. Notable nominations included Album of the Year and Best Rap Album, the latter of which it won. The album's content, which included violent and sexist undertones, caused a great deal of criticism nevertheless. Public discussions over creative responsibility and free speech ensued, as critics and advocacy organizations claimed that Eminem was spreading dangerous ideals. His Grammy victories, in spite of the criticism, showed that the Recording Academy valued his talent more than the scandals that had dogged him. The 2001 Grammys were a watershed point in Eminem's history with the ceremony. The 59th Annual Grammy Awards in 2017 were the site of a memorable event. Nominated for Album of the Year, Beyoncé's Lemonade explored themes of Black femininity, betrayal, and survival. The album was highly praised. A lot of people thought it was a pioneering effort that should have won the top prize, but Adele's 25 ended up with it, and now there's a lot of back and forth over how the Grammys treat black musicians. I said earlier that Adele said, "I can't possibly accept this award," in reference to Beyoncé's impact on her acceptance speech. "All the artists here adore you, and we appreciate that you don't always let us see. You shine brightly." Even Jay-Z had mixed feelings about the Grammys. He skipped out on the 1999 ceremony because, in his opinion, the Grammys didn't do enough to promote hip-hop. Despite having 2 #1 albums that year, DMX did not receive any nominations, which he stated with dissatisfaction. Jay-Z's position echoed a broader feeling among hip-hop artists and fans over the Recording Academy's neglect of the genre throughout its history. His criticisms have lingered despite his many appearances and performances at the Grammys, revealing a persistent conflict between his enormous success and the most prestigious award in the music industry. A similar tangled history exists between the Grammys and Drake, another music business behemoth. Drake has been quite successful at the Grammys, with 4 wins and a slew of nominations. His most recent album, Take Care, won Best Rap Album, but he has been outspoken about his disapproval of the accolades. Drake berated the Grammys in an interview from 2017 for labeling him a rap artist, even though he has dabbled in other genres. He implied that there was a racial prejudice in genre classification by noting that his popular song Hotline Bling, which he thought was a pop song, won Best Rap Song and Best Rap Sung Performance. And as past ceremonies have shown, the Grammys are frequently about more than just the music. The power struggles and political maneuvering at the Grammys are happening behind the scenes. There was a lot more going on behind the scenes than simply handing out prizes, but that's what the audience witnessed. One of the most prestigious awards in the music business is the Grammys, which are given out by the Recording Academy. An artist's career trajectory can be altered by the bestowal of a Grammy, which bestows notoriety, increased sales, and acknowledgement from the industry. So, how precisely are these prizes determined? Many have questioned the openness and equity of the voting process, which has sparked heated discussion for years. Members of the NARAs start things rolling by submitting music and albums for inclusion in the nominations. More than 150 specialists in the field check each submission to see whether it satisfies the criteria and then assigns it to the appropriate category. After all the details are ironed out, the first round of voting may begin. Voting for the candidates is done by NARA's members, who are producers, artists, and other people working in the business. Official nominations are the 5 best records in each category. However, in some instances, other committees are tasked with making the final decisions. Now things start to become muddy. Many people think these secret committees have too much authority and make choices that don't reflect the will of the people. The winners are decided in a second round of voting after the nominations have been announced. Voting is open to NARA's members in the general field and up to 10 genre categories on the final ballot. The lack of enforcement of the policy encourages people to vote based on their level of understanding in any given subject, which can lead to biased or ignorant outcomes. Deloitte Touche Tohmatsu, an impartial accounting company, tallies the ballots, and the results are kept under wraps until the evening of the event. Many have voiced their disapproval of this procedure throughout the years. The lack of openness is a major issue. The Academy does not reveal the members of the nomination review committees, the process for selecting them, or the criteria they employ to make choices. Because of all the cover-ups, people start to believe that labels and business ties have more of an impact than genuine creative ability. It allows members to put politics ahead of skill, as they can vote in areas where they don't have much experience. In addition to the voting process, many in the music business feel that big record companies have too much say in the outcome. favoring their performers at the expense of independent musicians. Some have said that the Grammys have an agenda when it comes to the music they honor, namely R&B and hip-hop. Major award categories such as Album of the Year and Song of the Year sometimes fail to recognize musicians from these genres, even though they are among the most financially successful in the world. For this reason, many famous musicians are dissatisfied with the Grammys, believing that they do not adequately reflect the variety of the music business. In his duet with Elton John on Stan, Eminem sought to refute accusations of homophobia in the singer's lyrics. The partnership was daring since it combined reconciliation with controversy. "How are you doing? Hey, how are things going? My name is Mr. Controversy. In what ways are you doing? Hey, how are things going? Mr. Controversy is my name," he said again. Some perceived the performance as an empty effort to divert criticism, while others lauded it as a unifying message. However, despite the diverse emotions, it was a moment that demonstrated the Grammys' openness to complex storylines. Some of my detractors came out and said I was homophobic when I used the gay word on my debut album. Despite Eminem's early Grammy triumphs, his relationship with the awards started to go south as he became more critical of the Recording Academy. He said the Grammys failed to recognize the cultural importance of hip-hop because of the institutional gap between the two. This was a typical feeling among hip-hop performers, who often felt overlooked by more conventional award organizations. Eminem's disappointment grew stronger as time went by. He openly voiced his disapproval of the Grammys, saying that the awards frequently overlooked the cultural and musical achievements of the hip-hop community. This criticism was a piece of a larger discussion on the Grammys' track record of excluding particular musical styles and performers. Eminem started using his music and performances as a means of venting his anger. Lyrics from his 2002 single, The Real Slim Shady, read, "You think I care about a Grammy?" An apparent dig at the honors. His candor struck a chord with viewers who shared his belief that the Grammys did not necessarily honor deserving artists or public sentiment. He never stopped complaining about the program and would frequently miss the Oscars even when he was nominated. He was protesting the institution's procedures through these absences. Among his many interviews with Sway Calloway in 2018, one stands out for his criticism of the Grammys. When asked why he no longer cared about the Grammys, Eminem was forthright about his lack of enthusiasm. The significance of the recognition, in his opinion, had been diminished because of the tendency to ignore influential hip-hop albums. He brought up the fact that, in his opinion, some of the finest hip-hop projects had never been given the credit they deserved, which further solidified his conviction that the awards were disconnected from the music industry. His complaints were more than simply venting. They were an expression of his frustration with the Recording Academy's tendency to fail to keep up with popular music and cultural movements. No, that was no, the Grammys said in response to long-standing accusations that the awards prioritized financial success over creative integrity. The truth gets out when I'm anxious, and Eminem's boldness helped bring these discussions to a wider audience. Although they may not have been as outspoken, his position put him in solidarity with other artists who felt the same way. "I thought one of them should have won a Grammy. I thought Jay-Z should have won one," he said. As his career developed, Eminem's decision to skip the Grammys became increasingly obvious. He became more disenchanted with the awards, even as he kept making popular and highly praised songs. He frequently skipped the ceremonies to show his distancing from the institution. Despite the release of his 2018 album Kamikaze, he chose not to nominate it for a Grammy. This bold act of rebellion demonstrated his strong preference for creative autonomy over the approval of the industry. Despite his detractors, Eminem's 15 Grammys attest to his indisputable impact and brilliance. Even with these accolades, he still couldn't get the Recording Academy to see eye to eye. Eminem saw the Grammys as emblematic of a system that neglected hip-hop culture on several occasions. Despite his triumph, he chose not to attend the ceremonies. which brought attention to a larger problem with the legitimacy of the award for many musicians. Although many are aware of Eminem's dissatisfaction with the Grammys, he is far from alone. Drake, Jay-Z, and Beyoncé all have tangled relationships with the Grammys. They have all had extraordinary careers decorated with a plethora of prizes, and they are all among the most important people in modern music. The Grammys are the most esteemed award in the music business, but their connections with the ceremony are complicated and often controversial. Their public criticisms and actions shed light on the continuing debates surrounding the Grammys' acknowledgement of black artists and the changing dynamics of the music industry, even though these artists have made substantial contributions to music. At times, they have felt undervalued or misunderstood by the Recording Academy. Beyoncé and Jay-Z, who are sometimes described as music royalty, have won or been nominated for a staggering amount of Grammys. With 32 Grammys to her resume as of 2012, Beyoncé is the artist with the most Grammy wins. Her spouse, Jay-Z, has won 24 Grammys, putting them in the company of the most decorated couples in Grammy history. Regardless, their tenure at the Grammys has been full of controversy. A number of prominent musicians have come out against the system, criticizing the Recording Academy for what they see as its prejudices and lack of diversity. Some musicians have been quite outspoken about their dissatisfaction with the Grammys, including Travis Scott and Nicki Minaj. Despite being the undisputed queen of rap for almost a decade, Nicki Minaj has never taken home a trophy. Instead, she has been outspoken in her criticism of the Academy, saying that it shows bias and ignores musicians who don't fit its mold. When people stop talking about it, they feel less threatened. Speculation about the involvement of behind-the-scenes politics in Travis Scott's exclusion from key categories began when his album Astroworld, which was one of the biggest of the year, failed to land him any nominations. I mean, it depends on your motivation, Eminem, but I believe people do take it off a bit. When it comes to the Grammys, legendary rapper Eminem has always been forthright about how he feels. He has won several accolades over his career, but he has frequently blasted the Recording Academy for how it handles hip-hop, claiming that the Grammys utilize rap musicians for ratings, but don't give them the credit they deserve in important categories. In a now famous tirade, he stated he no longer cared about the Grammys and accused them of being irrelevant. Why would he bother to show up to any of their gatherings? The plot is going to grow much more outlandish than you can imagine. Sources close to the Recording Academy said that the beloved hip-hopper abruptly ended the live broadcast, transforming a private high-profile event into a roast session that sent shockwaves through the music business. The music business is reportedly in a state of fear following Eminem's hilarious live TV destruction of the Grammys. Even the live broadcast cut off suddenly, with the official story being a technical glitch. What started out as a well-mannered, polite conversation about the future of music descended into a vicious demolition. According to many who were there, the event began as a regular industry get-together with celebrities like Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and Drake in attendance. Attendees braced themselves for stuffy lectures, uncomfortable networking, and the usual empty promises of reform from the Academy. Then Eminem stepped onto the stage, paper in hand, and the game shifted. Initially, many in attendance thought he would deliver a formal statement or some courteous professional discourse. In its place, Eminem let loose a tirade so scathing that it made even the most seasoned executives appear like they had a champagne hangover. The Grammys disregard hip-hop, they exploit us for ratings and then ignore us. It's all fake, he said, his sneer barely contained. The audience reportedly emitted a combination of gasps and anxious laughs, according to reports. While Beyoncé only blinked, Jay-Z scratched his face as if he were about to have a migraine, while Drake allegedly murmured, "Oh no," under his breath. The impending shock, however, was unknown to them. Like a late-night talk show presenter revealing a bombshell, Eminem started counting receipts and reading from his paper. He brought up the fact that Beyoncé, Kendrick Lamar, and The Weeknd had all been notably ignored by the Academy, despite the enormous cultural influence they had. Are you saying that Lemonade was defeated by 25? He made a joke about how Adele didn't believe him. Suppressed laughter and outright bewilderment were among the audience's reactions. It was said that an executive in the sector once gazed down at his drink as if thinking about retiring early. Alternately, Eminem attacked the Academy's notorious secrecy. The voting process is a mystery to everyone. It's as inane as a secret organization hoax. The winner is whoever we feel like, a mysterious individual reportedly said to Beyoncé while Jay-Z murmured something, causing her to stifle a smile, according to sources. Drake leaned in closer, stroking his chin as if he were engrossed in a hilarious, award-winning comedy spectacular. At this stage, the room was filled with a mixture of shocked silence, muted laughing, and Grammy executives frantically attempting to keep their cool. A few musicians erupted in applause, some anxiously glanced about, and a few of executives looked like they were trying to find an exit on their phones. "Listen, I left this place years ago and I've never regretted it," Eminem said, continuing to show that he was having a great time. As he walked off stage, the room was filled with shocked celebrities and anxious Grammy officials trying to collect themselves. He added, "Every year I see artists hoping this time will be different, and every year we get the same nonsense." With that, he dramatically folded his paper and stuffed it back into his pocket. Someone said, "Well, damn," when the quiet had persisted for 10 seconds, according to one account. The speech was full of unfiltered comedy, but the consequences were obvious right away. The Recording Academy is still in the dark and has not issued a statement. According to reports, one official stated that they were evaluating the situation, which is code for "we have no idea what to do" in the business world. Regardless, the fans are going crazy about it. Others are merely pleased that Eminem managed to turn what was intended to be a serious business event into a live comedy roast, while those who are for more musicians speaking out are voicing their opinions. Which fan group do you identify with? Please inform us in the space provided.